Chapter 7. Tense Negotiations, Kiri vs. Konoha. Mizukage Suite, 3 days after Gaara's rescue. Your squad has been assembled today for a new mission. It is a joint operation with Kumagakura's special forces, the Kinkaku Bounty Squad. It can be translated as the elite of their own Hunter Nin division. They don't like to play by the rules, even compared to normal Hunter Nin procedures. This is to strengthen our relations with our northern neighbor and also to show our strength has not waned over the past few years. I have picked the best of the best for this mission. I know you will not fail. The Mizukage stood before 5 kneeling Hunter Nin, elite trackers of her village's Anbu division. The leader, a ninja with a large 2-ended broadsword, stood in the middle of the line, easily the tallest and with the most brawn. He also happened to be Mei's fiancé. Naruto knelt in front of his Mizukage, chest out with pride as he heard her compliments to his unit. He had been given the order this morning to gather the best 4 hunters in the corps for a special mission, and he had to say he was interested in meeting these Kinkaku hunters. They were rumored to be the ones to defeat the Nai Dame Hokage during the First Shinobi War, quite a feat that they apparently brag about today. Since those times, the squad has been integrated into standard procedures amongst a Kumo ninja corps, namely the Anbu hunters. The mission details will be given upon your rendezvous with the Kumo squad, and they will be located in Wave Country. Your mission starts now. Mei made a cutting motion with her arm, and the squad disappeared in a blur. The Mizukage sighed. She wished that Naruto didn't have to work today. She could really use one of his special massages he only gave her. She shrugged her shoulders and stood in front of the window, overlooking the village. She hoped that his mission would go off without a hitch. Mei sensed a presence coming towards her office and turned around to find a messenger Nin. His face was gaunt and his breath ragged. He took out a message from his bag and handed to the Mizukage. She looked it up and down and found that it was a message from Fire Country. Her heart seized up for a moment, remembering Naruto's debriefing. She had been reluctantly expecting this. She opened the message and read the simple, short message that had an obviously sinister undertone to it. To the Mizukage of Kirigakura. Konoha has sent an envoy of shinobi to your country to discuss recent issues that have come up between our 2 shinobi villages. The group is led by the Hokage herself. This is a pure diplomatic meeting. No hostilities have arisen yet. We only wish to discuss our problems together. You can expect the Hokage within a few days. Please welcome her and show her hospitality. She is known for a quick temper, one that has become apparent as of recent events concerning her. Konoha Council. Mei set the message down and felt a cold shiver run down her spine. So this was Naruto's Bachan? She was already a bit afraid to see her, let alone try and think of way to avoid confrontation, especially with Naruto out of the village, but she had no choice. This is bad. Hurry home, Narukoi. Fire Nation, Coast. Alright, I've booked us passage to Kiri. I hope they got the message to be expecting us. Kakashi alerted the other members of the diplomatic team. They were in a port city along what little coast Fire Country owned. That's good. I hope the Mizukage is ready. Same goes for Naruto. Sakura said. She felt chills go down her spine every time she glanced at her sensei. She had not said one word since they left Konoha. The few others amongst the group were quiet. Jiraiya stood off to the side of the port ticket building, and Rock Lee stood at attention near Sakura. Immediately after receiving the news of Naruto's affiliation with Kiri and the possible alliance between Suna and Kiri, she had called for immediate action to the problem, one of which Danzo readily agreed to. He had suggested that she and a few hand-picked shinobi go to Kiri and attempt to negotiate, solve the problem without fighting. That whore, she lied to me, the Hokage. Sanada mumbled to herself, still not believing that she had been deceived not only by the Mizukage, but her little Naruto was engaged to the slut. The boat is here, come on Hokage-sama. Rock Lee mentioned upon seeing a boat pull up to the dock next to them. The squad filed aboard and felt the cumbersome shipping boat move itself out of the harbor. Its destination was Kiri. Wave Country, 2 days since mission start. Naruto and his squad stalked through the dense mist and foliage of Wave Country, searching for the rendezvous with the Kinkaku squad. For the most part, the Kiri hunters had run across the ocean with a few pit stops along the way, small uninhabited islands set aside as resting stations for Kiri shinobi. Hunter 1, I have a visual on something. Naruto turned to Hunter 2, a man with tousled brown hair and red designs on his mask. Naruto held up his fist for the squad to stop and crept over to the ninja, and he pointed to something that was gleaming with reflected light in the distance. It was a bit bright, but only a trained shinobi would have noticed it, and a trained shinobi would have known how to hide that kind of obvious signal. So whoever it is purposely showing off the light, either a trap or the Kinkaku alerting their presence. Hunter 2, hold your position. 3 and 4 will follow me in beta formation, search tactics, they could be our Kumo allies. The squad nodded and fanned out into the mist, and Naruto began to move straight towards the gold shimmer in the distance. Even though he could not see his fellow hunters, he knew they were watching him, they were to be his lifeline, to keep him from falling into a trap. Upon reaching the front of the tree, Naruto was not surprised when 3 blurs appeared in front of him, each with an interesting Kumo uniform and a peculiar golden demon mask with horns. Naruto's squad, minus Hunter 2, appeared at his sides, kunai at the ready. Naruto held up an arm and waved away their weapons, these men were not their enemies. The apparent leader, a light-skinned man with blonde hair, took a step forward and bowed slightly in respect to Naruto, who returned the favor. Kiri hunters, it is nice that you have joined us, we were beginning to think that our signal wasn't conspicuous enough. His men got a snicker from that, and Naruto could feel his team's and his own temper flare. Not at all, we figured that we would have you wait a while for us, no need to rush things. Naruto eyed the Kumo hunters angrily, safely hiding his emotions behind his mask. The leader pointed a finger over Naruto's shoulder and scoffed, eliciting his attention. You can tell your other hunter he can come out now, we aren't hostiles. We have an attack to plan, and we can't do it without everyone here. Naruto silently cursed, waving his arm in a come here fashion, his hunter appeared behind him with what was surely an annoyed expression. They detected our backup so easily, these men are not to be taken lightly. Their armor is also very interesting, especially for hunters. The men indeed had interesting armor, besides their black underclothes, their armor was a strange metal that was a pure gold. Shoulder guards, studded gloves, demon masks, and even their body plate armor was a golden color, something that could be seen as an obvious disadvantage to a shinobi, especially assassins like they were. I see you're looking at our armor, pretty badass, right? We recently received a large import of steel and other strong armor materials from our friends overseas, and that has allowed Kumo to flesh out its defensive armor for its shinobi. The Kinkaku squad received these recently from Kumo forgers in the capital. Naruto nodded, he was very impressed with their armor, but he still preferred his own over it. Alright Kumo-san. Naruto was cut off by the leader raising his hand for quiet and then moving it into a handshake position, surprising Naruto. The name is Tamura Yutsuki, and you are? Naruto gripped the man's hand with his own, feeling the other shinobi put a bit of pressure on his hand, so he returned it with vigor. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, swordsman of the mist. This guy, either Kumo has some bad history with us, or this captain really doesn't like me. Well then Naruto, how about we get started? I presume your Mizukage told you that we have asked for your help? Naruto nodded and it made all 3 Kinkaku scoff, confusing the Kiri squad. Well that's a load of shit, since our Raikage told us to cooperate with you or else. Apparently this is a pretty big relationship booster between our nations, and it's very important to play nice blah blah blah. The captain openly mocked their orders, making Naruto question just how loose the Kinkaku squad's leash was in Kumo. Let me tell you something Naruto. He practically spat out his name. We do not need you. Understand? This was my operation until that pro wrestler asshole thought it prudent to make me work with some pussies from Kur. The man was unable to finish when he had Naruto's broadsword at his throat, and while his 2 friends would have reacted, they both had their sword wrists in a bind with Naruto's hunter's water release, water whip technique. Naruto quickly took in the Kumo ninja's abilities, starting with their swordsmanship. Katanas, I had heard rumors that many cloud shinobi train with long swords instead of kunai, but I never would have guessed that they took that much pride in the sword itself. Immaculate, not a scratch on it, and beautiful golden designs on their blades, these guys are professional. Ah, finally took offense to something I said? The man chuckled, making Naruto growl. It's true, we don't need you or your fucking sword, probably couldn't touch a fly with this piece of oversized plastic. Mock Naruto and he got pissed, mock Kiri or Mei and you were a dead man, mock his broadsword, you'll wish you were dead. Oversized piece of plastic? I haven't heard that one before, Tamura. How about we test your theory, I think I see a fly right over your carotid artery. The man gulped, but kept his cool as Naruto moved his sword above the neck artery. He was an elite after all. Tamura finally sighed, holding his hands up in defeat and ending the confrontation. Naruto slowly backed away, and his shinobi released the water ropes from the other two Golden Horn members. They held their wrists and rubbed them in quiet anguish. The water was tight and restricting around their skin. "Whatever, we'll tell you the plan, but we will do all the work, understand?" Naruto just nodded. He figured that if nothing else, he would get to see these big talkers in action. That would be plenty of payment for him getting put on this useless mission. Kurigakure, front gate. Mei stood uneasily at the main gate with a large contingent of Kiri shinobi, flanked by Chijuro and Ao. While Mei looked to be in control on the outside, inside she was sweating at the impending arrival of Konoha. Not only did they know she lied to them about Naruto, but Tsunade herself was known to be protective about Naruto back when he was in Konoha. Mei could only guess at a reaction to their engagement. "Ma'am, they are only a half-mile out." Ao whispered in her ear, his Byakugan activated and watching the Konoha shinobi. "How many?" she asked with a level tone, not bothering to whisper. "5, I recognize the Hokage and the Toad San and Jiraiya. There is also the famous copy ninja of the leaf, Kakashi Hatake. The other two appear to be very young, probably apprentices to the older ninja, they don't look threatening." Mei scoffed at that, looks were always deceiving. The mist dissipated in the road in front of them, revealing the small Konoha group. All look happy to finally have arrived in Kiri. Mei locked eyes uncomfortably with Tsunade, but she practically slapped herself and took on a confident demeanor. This was it, probably the most important meeting with another nation, and she couldn't afford to mess up, not with Naruto's life and Kiri's well-being on the table. She would stay strong for them. The two busty Kages separated from their respected bodyguards and met each other in the middle of the road. Mei forced a welcoming smile on her face. Tsunade didn't even manage that, she kept her poker face on the entire time, not bothering with pleasantries. "Welcome to Kurigakure, Hokage-sama. I hope your trip here was not too tiring or long, it is a bit of a long way from home for you." Tsunade waved her hand dismissively, not complaining about the trip. "The trip was fine, and I am prepared to speak with you now. There is no need to gather your counsel either, I wish only to speak with you." Tsunade whispered the final part in a hiss, making Mei narrow her eyes ever so slightly. She turned and motioned for the gate, the Kiri ninja moving out of the way for the two. "My office is this way, your bodyguards can wait out in the lobby with my own while we discuss," Mei offered, putting a certain edge on her voice with the mention of their private talk. She had no doubt it would turn into a screaming match. She could only hope that Kiri did not become the battleground. Kurigakure, Mizukage Suite. Mei and Tsunade entered the Mizukage's office, and the redhead closed the door herself, moving to sit in her chair and allowing Tsunade to begrudgingly sit on the couch. Mei sensed an observer's presence and quickly waved her hand, her voice growing stern. "Leave us." Tsunade turned to see no less than 3 Anbu into view. They bowed their heads and disappeared, joining the bodyguards on the other side of the wall. Mei brought up her hands and laced the fingers together, staring at the barely hidden animosity inside the Hokage's hazel eyes. She spoke with an all-businesses tone, wanting to keep this as professional as possible, although she highly doubted Tsunade would honor that request for long. "What would you like to talk about, Hokage-sama?" Tsunade growled, a direct and rude insult to Mei's friendly introduction, but in the blonde's mind, she deserved it. "I think you know damn well what I want to talk about, where is Naruto?" Mei sighed, already seeing where the discussion was going and not liking it at all. "Naruto-koi is out on a mission, he will not be back for some time." If Mei was interrupted when a hand slammed down on her desk, leaving an imprint in the wood. "I bet you did that on purpose. Sent him on a mission because you knew I would want to see him about this problem." Mei held up her hand in a dismissive gesture and held back a frustrated sigh. "I had just sent Naruto's hunter squad when your council's message arrived. Had I known, I would have kept him here to help us sort this issue out." Tsunade didn't buy it, but she saw that the younger woman wouldn't back down, so she attacked from another angle. "And what is this I hear, Naruto-koi? You probably seduced him into that." Engaged Tsunade was stopped when the Mizukage stood straight up from her chair, an angered scowl on her face. "Don't you dare insinuate that I seduced Naruto. I fell for his charms and his love like any real woman would. This doesn't even have any merit on the situation." Tsunade was in her face immediately, pissed that she would brush off Tsunade's questioning of the engagement. "It has everything to do with this engagement. If Naruto would never have come here, he wouldn't be engaged to you, he would still be in Konoha where he belongs." Mei processed the information and started to giggle. Her face cracked into a wide smile as she began to laugh hysterically, confusing and angering Tsunade further. Ha 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 ha. You say that, Naruto, haha, belongs in Konoha? That is the most absurd thing I have heard for a while now. How can you expect him to feel like he belongs when almost everyone cast him out in one way or another because of what he holds inside of him? Tsunade gasped, she knew about the Nine Tails? Naruto, you wouldn't tell her, right? She must have seduced that out of you too, this horsey has gone too far. How dare you laugh at me? Naruto has no hate for the village, and when he was there, he loved it with all his heart. It makes no sense for him to just up and leave without any notice. He could have at least come to me before Mei stepped back in after that, tired of hearing the excuses Tsunade spouted off. He could not come to you, no matter what place you hold in his heart. It was his mother's bloodline, and only she would have been a person that he could talk to about it, and since she is gone, Naruto had to find an Uzumaki. He also had great dreams that he wished to accomplish. He wanted to bring the Uzumaki back to the elemental nations, and he could not do that while he was inside your country. He came to Kiri, and he found me. Since the beginning I have been with him and helped him master his skills until he turned into what he is today. A great shinobi, a greater man, and the greatest fiancé I could ask for. Mei finished with a longing smile and a far-off look in her eyes, thinking about Naruto and her being together. Tsunade was taken aback. Having Mei explain it from her own angle was comforting, but it wasn't enough to deter the blonde. Moving away from all our personal issues, you lied to me. Me, the Hokage of Konohagakure. This is an insult that is not taken lightly, especially because of Naruto and his special status. Mei's mind immediately clicked onto the Hokage's wavelengths, and her smile turned to a disgusted scowl. You are here because your council wants their secret weapon back, aren't you? I should have known it would come to this. Backroom politics always were the bane of Hokage's power. Tsunade lowered her head in shame. In truth, she had been pestered about going to war to get Naruto back because he held such a powerful entity inside of him. She had hoped to just use the thinly veiled threat as a power play during negotiations. She hadn't counted on Mei picking up on the tactic so quickly. It is true that Konoha's council sees that Naruto should be returned to Konoha because of his power and influence, but I don't want him back because of that. Mei silently gasped when she saw Tsunade begin to cry, salty tears falling down her cheeks. I want Naruto back because I love him like I would a son. He grew on me after I returned to Konoha, and when he left, I was heartbroken. The village isn't the same without him, and everyone wants him back. Mei openly scoffed at that, confusing the Hokage. That's not what my informants tell me. They say that almost 100% of your village celebrated his death and continue to do so up to this day. Naruto has told me many times he does not wish to return, and as long as he wishes to stay here, he will be a Kiri shinobi. Besides, I love Mei was stopped by a harsh slap from Tsunade, who was practically fuming over the Mizukage's audacity. How dare you? I won't believe you until I hear it from his own mouth that he does not wish to come back home, and your so-called love thing has no merit over the situ. Tsunade was stopped from her mocking by an equally hard slap from Mei, both women now sporting red marks on their cheeks. Never doubt my love for Narukoi, because I will make sure you regret it. I will not tolerate this kind of insolence, no matter what rank you are, Hokage-sama. Now then. Mei's voice returned to a level, unreadable tone. She pointed to the door. I have arranged an apartment for you and your contingent to stay at until Naruto Koi returns, or you may leave Kiri. In any case, I do not expect you to move too freely. We aren't allies, and after this display I can't fully trust you not to do something rash. Now please leave. Tsunade scoffed and turned around, walking towards the door. She only stopped to look over her shoulder and whisper threatening words to her fellow Kage. This is not over. Kirigakure, Mizukage Suite Lobby. Chijuro-san, I was wondering if you could tell me about Naruto's training? We were unable to see him in action, and I was curious as to. Jiraiya was cut off by the young swordsman, who was scratching his head in embarrassment. Well, you see, that kind of information is, Ao just sighed loudly, slapping the younger boy in the back of the head, startling him. Chijuro. All you have to do is say, that information is classified. End of story, geez. Back in my day, if a boy rambled like you. Ao trailed off when he saw the double doors swing open, and an angry Hokage came out of the office, a dull red imprint on her cheek. Jiraiya immediately knew something was up, as did the rest of Konoha, but wisely kept quiet and fell into step with Tsunade. Well? Are one of you Kiri shinobi going to lead us to our temporary dwelling, or what? The Hokage demanded quite loudly, surprising all shinobi present at her disregard for respect. The Kiri shinobi looked at one another before Mei walked out, a similar red imprint on her cheek. She pointed out to Anbu, and they ushered forward, ready to receive orders. Go. Lead them to the dwellings marked in the briefing, the newly rebuilt site of the village. The two Anbu looked at each other and shrugged, moving in front of the Konoha squad and leading them out of sight down the stairs. Ao turned to the Mizukage, curious as to her unsettling behavior. Is everything all right, Mizukage-sama? Mei barely spared him a glance with her dangerously narrowed eyes, settling for a small side event some of her anger. No, it isn't. Ao, I want you to select and lead a team of our best trackers and keep an eye on the Konoha visitors. I don't trust them to sit idle while Naruto Koi is away. Ao was surprised by the order but nodded, glad that he would have something to do for the next week or so. Yes, Mizukage-sama, it will be done. Ao disappeared, leaving Mei to walk home with a raging headache from today's events. I really need a hot bath. Naruto Koi, I hope you are enjoying your little vacation, because my soon-to-be in-law is being a real pain. I still can't believe that bitch slapped me, I almost spit lava into her face. Almost. Wave Country, Unknown Village's warehouse. That's the target, Kiri team, you know the drill. Naruto listened into his communicator and sighed, he knew the drill all right. The Kiri team was to sit back with popcorn while the Kinkaku took down the petty crime lords and their gangs that were meeting tonight in the warehouse, Wufi. Naruto was just bursting with excitement over the prospect of doing nothing, but he had no real choice. The Mizukage called it a joint operation, but Kinkaku wanted nothing to do with them, so they settled for an uneasy peace agreement. You don't fuck with us, we don't fuck with you. Naruto moved into a better position to observe the warehouse, namely a shattered window near the roof. The mist was extra thick tonight, meaning he could hide relatively easily without the help of jutsu, not that it mattered against these crime bosses, they weren't shinobi after all. Kinkaku Bounty Squad commenced the operation. Naruto watched as the lights inside the warehouse shorted out, surely thanks to a lightning technique. Tamura and his two squad mates entered the warehouse quick and quiet, easily below the sounds of the panicked orders and worried murmurs. Tamura decided to use his own technique to fight, while his men used their katana with lightning chakra. This seems like a drug bust, not something Hunter Nin should be doing. Naruto thought quietly, curious as to the Kumo ninja methods. Lightning release, bolt or shot? Tamura whispered, his hands slowly starting to glow with a dull white lightning coloring, little lightning bolts sizzling between his fingers. Remember, keep at least one alive. Tamura alerted his subordinates, they had already charged up their katana and were charging straight for the criminals, lighting up the warehouse with their lightning-infused weapons. They began to cut through enemies, not only killing them with the blade, but also with enough electricity to fry their insides into shut down. Once the enemy realized it was suicide to attack the golden shinobi up close, they began to throw kunai and shuriken, slowing their advance. That was when their lightning-infused chakra blades truly shined, and they used the attack quickly to stop the enemy range fighters. Kenjutsu style, lightning crescent wave. The Kinkaku sword users swung their swords in a horizontal arc, the lightning leaping off in a crescent wave of energy straight for the enemy's position. Naruto's eyes widened when he saw the lightning wave decimate the enemy ranks caught in the blast, either slicing them or burning them with electricity. I knew of that type of technique, but I've never seen it used in real combat before. Naruto looked at Tamura, who he had not seen do much of anything until he noticed Tamura had been fighting a large force on the other side of the warehouse, alone. Naruto's eyes widened again when he saw the interesting lightning technique used by the leader. He would point his fingers at the enemy target and a high-speed bolt of lightning would be shot off and impact the enemy. Apparently the lethality of the technique was determined by the amount of chakra put into each shot, as Naruto could see the man had already incapacitated a few while the rest lie dead. Come on you fucking pussies, is this all you got? I expected better from the little shits that tried to pick up all of Gato's little pieces of his empire, but you little bitches are horrible. Naruto cringed at the man's use of colorful vocabulary, and while he wasn't totally innocent either, Naruto didn't curse like a sailor that this man seemed to emulate perfectly. Naruto watched in amazement as the battle died down, Tamura's lackeys actually finishing off any of the survivors. Naruto and his squad shunshined to join them in the interrogation process. It caused Tamura to look at them with clear disdain and annoyance. Kiri-san, what did I tell you about this whole teamwork thing? Naruto was about at the end of his rope, his teammates barely holding back either. Listen, I was given this assignment by the Mizukage herself, and I'm not going to sit on the sidelines the entire time, just so you can have your glory. The least you can allow us to do is to join in the non-fighting parts, we have a right to listen in too. Tamura growled but said no more, instead turning his veiled anger to the prisoners he had garnered. His hand glowed for a second, settling with the occasional spark or crack of lightning chakra emitting from his palm. Tamura smirked and said both to the prisoners and the Kiri team what was going on. Kumo Hunter Ninja Interrogation Technique, a perfect device to get what we want by stimulating the body with pain. Tamura walked up to the first samurai wannabe and placed his hand on the back of his neck, eliciting a loud, agonizing scream from the man. Naruto and his team were in shock over his methods, he hadn't even asked a question yet. I always like to give my prisoners a taste of what could happen to them first before we get started, usually makes them cave in quicker. The man it was used on was glaring murder at the Kinkaku leader, but he was completely ignored. Now then. Tamura used his other hand and gripped the man's scraggly black hair, lifting his head up painfully by the roots. Tell me where Yoroyatsuki is, I know he has been used by your organization before because of his ninja services, so don't give me any bullshit. Yoroyatsuki? Wait. You must be the hunter ninja he is always droning about, he's been waiting for your asses to get here for quite some time now. He's probably going to fry you. The man was cut off by another shock, this one was directed to his arm, making it twitch uncontrollably while the man screamed in pain. That was some great information. Now tell me where he is, you little bastard. The interrogation continued for the next 10 minutes, Naruto had become bored with the whole thing and was leaning up against a crate when Tamura sighed in frustration. He walked away from the prisoners and consulted with the hunter ninja assembled. I can't seem to get the little pansy to give up his location, it's as if he's been through the interrogation tactic before and is hardened to it or something. Naruto tapped his fingers on the crate he was near, thinking about the problem. It's possible that this Yoroi of yours, since he knew you would come, did these same or similar techniques on some of the more well-informed gang members, keeping them from revealing his secrets. Naruto suggested, making Tamura turn to him with a befuddled but understanding gaze. Tamura seemed to think about the possibility more and more, slowly nodding to himself. Yes, that would make sense from the man's earlier statement. But this is our quickest way of getting info, how else are we going to get him to talk? Naruto decided to communicate with his Bijuu while everyone else contemplated the question. Hey, Kyuubi. Do you think with a little of your chakra and a lot of killer intent, we could freak this guy out enough to get him to talk? Well, if you were able to make eye contact with my chakra coursing through you, I could plant a little genjutsu. I know into the man's consciousness, it should freak him out enough to crack. Naruto nodded and spoke up, bringing the attention back to him. I think I have a way, just give me a minute with him alone, and I can get him talking. Naruto stood straight and began to walk towards the prisoner, but was stopped by a rough hand on his shoulder from a glaring Tamura. This is my mission, Naruto. I can handle this, now step down. Naruto gripped the man's arm and threatened to break it with the intense strength he was putting on it, making Tamura cringe under his mask. Listen Tamura, you need to wake up and realize that you can't do everything. Right now, no matter how much I wish I was not, I am your teammate and I'm trying to fucking help you. Now get off your damn cloud of greatness and back down to Earth's reality and piss off. Naruto finished his little speech with intensifying the strain on the man's arm to its zenith, making him howl with anger and pain. You son of a bitch. Naruto just kept walking, ignoring the temper tantrum the captain was probably throwing in his mind. He took the prisoner roughly by the arm and dragged him behind a crate, scaring the man into thinking they were going to kill him. All right now then, look into my eyes and see what will befall you mortal. Naruto's voice slowly changed as Kyuubi's chakra leaked into his system, flooding him with strength and bloodlust. No matter how much he trained and harnessed the red chakra, he could never defeat the nagging feeling for death and blood to reign when he used it. Naruto took off his mask and the man saw slitted, demon eyes that were blood red in color, scaring him to the point of almost fainting. His eyes soon dilated, having been caught in the genjutsu, and Naruto waited for a few moments before he started to scream bloody murder and attempt to break his bonds. Naruto held him steady, waiting for him to calm down somewhat before he could ask the question. After a few more tense moments, the man's voice had broken into quiet sobs and whimpers. Yoroyatsuki, where is he? The man looked into Naruto's now mask eyes and opened his mouth, voice barely above a whisper. Old Mamachi contractor hideout, deep forest, 10 miles east of here. The man collapsed then, and Naruto was glad that the jutsu worked. He was also curious if this Mamachi was the same Zabuza Mamachi he had fought in Wave once before. Rejoining the team, he alerted the astounded ninja of both villages the information, skirting around the how he did it part. The teams were soon leaping through the trees, Tamura near Naruto in quiet deliberation over the younger blonde's earlier words and his actions so far. Naruto. Tamura started, eliciting a slight glance from the blonde. He grimaced under his mask. I guess I was a pretty big jackass, this mission is too personal for me. Naruto, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have been snapping at you like that, but this mission is personal as I'm sure you've guessed by now. I shouldn't have shut you out of the investigation like that, it was wrong of me. To say Naruto was surprised was an understatement, although he had predicted the personal part. Their last names are the same, they are related somehow. I can only guess you two are related. Tamura nodded slowly. Is he your brother? Tamura actually started laughing, having to stop jumping for a second to catch his breath. Ha! Nowhere close, but nice guess. That pussy could never be my brother, but the Utsuki clan is large in Kumo, and he is my distant cousin, nothing more nothing less. It's one of those, guy betrays clan pursues him type deals, except they picked me for the job. I'm not nice on good days, and if you couldn't tell yet, this is a bad day for me. Naruto nodded, the Uzumaki clan may be no more at the moment, but Naruto would surely chase down any traitor with a zeal unheard of by most shinobi. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go catch us a traitor. Naruto disappeared in a swirl of water, moving quicker than he had been before with the boost of chakra. Tamura smirked, disappearing in a silent bolt of lightning. I think I may like this guy. Naruto Uzumaki. Wave, old Mamachi contractor base, deep forest. So, they have finally come to free this body from the wretched soul within? I have been getting awfully bored lately. Yuroi sat on a throne, added by himself to the hideout, waiting for the assassins to enter his unguarded keep. His skin was a dark brown, but his hair was a bright blonde, almost white resembling the current Hokage. He had twin katana on his back, and he shifted uncomfortably in his Kumo vest and leggings, his black underclothes covering all but his arms. He smirked when three blurs appeared a few feet from his throne. The golden masks made his eyes whiten a bit, but he quickly calmed when he recognized the leader of the three. Tamura, it's been too long. The leader stiffened upon the warm welcome from the criminal and oddly kept silent, opting for a few hand motions to his subordinates who nodded and moved away. Tamura, it's impolite to not talk to your cousin. Tamura took his katana in one hand and flooded it with lightning chakra, illuminating the dark room. Yuroi also noticed that he was not using both hands like he used to and guessed his other hand had already been used for a technique. Yuroi Yutsuki. Tamura's voice cracked from the anger he was feeling from seeing this man again. He cleared his throat and tried again. You have been charged with the crime of leaving the village and revealing clan secrets to outsiders. It's your time to die. Tamura and Yuroi disappeared and reappeared in the air, Tamura's single sword shaking from his exertion to hold back the enemy's twin katana, also enhanced by nature chakra. Tamura, I was sure the clan got over that, it has been so long since that little incident. Tamura pointed his free hand's finger at Yuroi's head, shooting off a bolt of lightning that sizzled past the exile when he twisted his neck away. Yuroi began to shake his head back and forth in a scolding manner, and in the blink of an eye, Tamura's free hand was being held at the wrist, while Yuroi held both katana between his fingers in the other hand. That was a dangerous technique, Tamura, you could have hurt me. Tamura was pissed, Yuroi had become more than the damn weakling he used to be after he stole one of the clan's technique scrolls. You piece of shit, ah. Tamura screamed in agony when Yuroi twisted his wrist, rendering it unusable by the Kinkaku captain. Quickly freeing himself from the traitor's grasp, Tamura started to think up a plan while he nursed his broken wrist. A good ninja never lets his guard down, you should know this, Tamura. The Kinkaku's eyes widened when he heard the voice from behind him, and he could feel the whoosh of air as the katana glided towards his neck. Captain. His squad mates arrived in the nick of time, their own katana covered in lightning and shaking with the attempt to hold the enemy off. Tamura went through a few hand seals, opening his mouth with sparks gathering. Lightning release, false darkness. A large, concentrated stream of lightning chakra sailed into Yuroi, making the Kinkaku squad smirk when he was flung back through the wall into an adjacent room. Thanks for the save, boys, now let's. Tamura was unable to finish when Yuroi came bursting through the wall encased in their clan's special lightning armor technique. His fists impacted Tamura's men, while Yoroi headbutted the surprised squad leader and sent all three down to the ground. He wasn't playing around anymore. Now that did hurt Tamura, I guess we aren't playing nice anymore. His men knocked out by the bone-shattering punch enhanced by the nature chakra, Tamura could only watch as the katana descended towards their throats. I can't let you do that, Yoroi-san. A voice said, and Yoroi's eyes widened when a large twin-bladed broadsword blocked his attack from killing the Kinkaku hunters. Normally this wouldn't be a problem, lightning chakra was known to enhance blades, to be able to cut through solid steel in a flash, but this weapon would not budge. Yoroi gave a quick examination of the opposing blade and noticed numerous seals written on it. A few had lit up from the contact with his chakra and he noticed his katana losing their glow. Shit, containment seals. He's sapping my elemental chakra. Yoroi pushed away from the enemy, only to find himself wrapped by 3 additional Hunter Nin water whips, holding his wrists and neck. The strength forced Yoroi onto his knees, while Naruto helped Tamura get up and finish the job, but he was sadly mistaken when he heard screams coming from his fellow Kiri ninja. Yoroi's lightning armor had been reactivated, and it was currently electrocuting Naruto's squad, forcing him into action. Sunshining to the enemy, Naruto swung his broadsword in a white arc, creating sparks when it was met once again by chakra-infused blades. Yoroi scowled as his chakra was absorbed again from his blades and attempted to move one blade to hit Naruto's central mass when Naruto altered his grip and pushed the X-Cloud away from him. Shadow Clone Technique. Naruto's shadow clones quickly moved and picked up all the unconscious ninja in the battlefield, escaping through the large hole in the wall. So we are alone now. I wonder what you will do now, Hunter-san. Yoroi said, flexing his arms and basking in the feel of lightning chakra dancing across his skin. You may not enjoy it so much. Naruto formed a single hand sign and shot a large blob of mud towards Yoroi, who deftly dodged it, laughing as he did so. Mud will not do much against me, Hunter. You'll have to. Yoroi trailed off when he heard hardening of rock and turned to see the hole in the wall plugged by newly formed rock. So that's what you were. Yoroi sensed danger and saw Naruto exhaling some sort of mist from his mouth, and he quickly remembered Kiri's hidden mist technique. Hiding in a mist won't help you much here, I could easily find you. Yoroi watched as his skin began to peel off and his lightning chakra shield calmed and dissipated away from his body. Naruto willed the acidity to increase, seeing Yoroi's painful expressions showed it to be working, and his skin falling off was a good indicator too. What the hell did you do? Naruto snickered, glad to have the upper hand in this battle. The Uzumaki bloodline was known to few, it seemed. Killing you, what's it look like? Naruto lifted his mask slightly to reveal his mouth, and he shot 2 lava globs, both aimed at and hit his swords, melting the instruments of destruction. Yoroi growled, he wasn't having as much fun anymore. In fact, he wasn't having fun at all. His skin was bleeding now, muscle had been revealed in some places, and it burned like his entire body just got hit with antibacteria spray. Then again, while I could just what you melt away, I think Tamura would like the honor so. Unable to stop him, Yoroi watched as Naruto disappeared and felt a jab to his neck, and everything went black. Wave hideout, 10 minutes later. Tamura, he is all yours. Naruto dropped a tied-up Yoroi at his feet, still wounded from his battle with Naruto. Tamura looked down, shocked at the Kiri ninja's ability. He did what the Kinkaku squad could not. What he could not? Naruto. How did you? Naruto just shook his head, and Tamura understood. Most ninja didn't like to reveal their techniques if they didn't have to. Tamura, spare me. The golden masked leader scowled at the now begging traitor of Kumo, and he kicked him in the ribs to shut him up. You die now. Tamura gathered a specific amount of chakra into his 2 pointer fingers, asking Naruto to hold the criminal, so he was kneeling. Tamura jabbed the 2 fingers into 2 different spots, the back of Yoroi's neck at his spinal cord and one right to his heart. The lightning chakra worked its magic, shutting down the nervous system and the heart organ with overloads of concentrated electricity. Naruto was slightly intrigued by the method, but knew better than to ask. Naruto. Naruto turned into a punch sent by Tamura, just barely dodging it, his hand already on his broadsword. That was for beating him without me. Thank you though. If it wasn't you for you, we wouldn't have just lost, we would be dead. We will not forget this, Naruto. If you ever need help, you can count on Kinkaku bounty hunters to come to your aid. We'll spread the word, keep in touch, all right? We'll dispose of the body right here. Naruto nodded and walked off, mentally noting the location of the base and the reminder of help from the bounty hunters. His squad fell into place behind him. So I made new friends, Mayheim will be so proud. Kurigakure, 3 days later. We are home, now go take a break. The other hunters nodded and disappeared, leaving Naruto to walk up to a strangely waiting Mei at the gate. I'm back, Mayheim? What's the matter? Mei looked quite depressed, only barely cheering up upon seeing Naruto here. Naruto? We have unwanted guests. Naruto's eyes widened and then narrowed, hand moving to his broadsword. Where? They didn't hurt you, did they? Naruto asked quickly. Mei just shook her head and hugged her fiancé, who hesitantly hugged her back. No, Naruto, it's Konoha. Naruto's eyes widened, they had come for him. End of chapter 7. Chapter 8. Naruto comes home, Konoha's plea. Kurigakure front gate. Naruto ripped off his mask and looked into Mei's worried eyes, making sure she wasn't lying to him. Konoha was here. Mei, are you serious? Konoha is here? Mei just nodded and placed a hand on his cheek, trying to comfort both him and herself. Yes, even Sanada has come, I'm sure they want to bring you back home. So far, all we have done is argue with each other, and I was at the end of my rope when you arrived. I'm glad you're home, I need your help to explain to Konoha that you do not wish to come back, otherwise. Naruto totally understood what could happen. If he didn't defuse this now, war could become inevitable. Alright, I will meet with them tomorrow, if that is alright? Mei just nodded very slowly, and Naruto was confused at her sluggish behavior. Did something happen, Mayheim? Mei just looked at him and shook her head, but he knew better than that, so he gripped her shoulder in a comforting gesture. Don't lie to me, Mei, I can see right through you. These arguments, how bad have they gotten? Mei looked into his serious gaze and backed down at the ground and sighed, turning away from him. When she first came, it was only verbal with a slight altercation. But now, it's gotten to the point where I can barely keep myself from wringing her and that pink-haired girl's necks. Naruto's eyes widened. Sakura was here. Wait, altercation? Sakura is here? Mei sighed again and started walking towards the compound, Naruto quickly falling into step. Sanada slapped me after I defended our relationship. Naruto stopped walking, his body seized at the thought of his Ba-chan hurting Mei. What the fuck, Sanada? Why would you do something like this? What? Naruto whispered in an edgy voice, his temper raised to its zenith at the thought of Sanada slapping his Haim over and over again in his head. Mei turned around and hugged him in the street, not surprised at all by the possessive strength his arms brought with them when they wrapped around her waist. If it makes you feel any better, I slapped her back. Mei tried to joke and thought she succeeded when Naruto's mouth switched from a scowl to a snickering smirk, but it only lasted a second. That does help a little, but it doesn't change the fact that she did what she did. She disrespected you, this village. And she has disrespected me too. Mei just shook her head at his reasoning but said nothing. It was impossible to reason with an Uzumaki when they were angry. The clan was known for being stubborn. I know, Naruto, but that is why you need to speak with her. No matter how many times I tell her that you don't wish to come back, she won't believe me. You are the only one she will listen to now. Naruto nodded, knowing that it was his duty to clean up the mess he had brought to Kiri. He had to be the one to fix Konoha. Alright, Mayheim, but like I said, we'll do that tomorrow. Right now though, I need a bath, and you look like you could use one of my special massages. Naruto playfully waggled his eyebrows at the young woman, who actually let out a giggle and started smiling. You read my mind, how about we knock both out at the same time? Mei suggested and felt herself being picked up like a bride. Naruto was a bit anxious to feel her again, and she couldn't agree more. Next day, Kurigakure, Konoha's arranged living quarters. Sanada, we have just received word that the Mizukage wishes to speak with you in her office. Kakashi alerted, frowning inwardly at Sanada's angry grunt of acknowledgement. Yeah, let's go see what the woman has to say. Kakashi spoke up again, stopping the Hokage's upcoming rant. She also mentioned Naruto was there as well. Even the Kiri guards outside couldn't have caught up with Sanada if they tried. She had barreled out of the apartment heading straight for the Mizukage's office. Kakashi looked at the other Konoha ninja and saw them preparing to join Sanada at the meeting. He walked out into the hall since he was already dressed and ready. He noticed the Anbu outside the door still looking in amazement towards the direction Sanada left the complex, silently laughing at them. What the hell was that? One of them mumbled, and Kakashi thought to answer with an embarrassed smile, trying to think of something nice to say, but couldn't find the words. That was one excited grandma. Kurigakure, Mizukage Suite. Naruto. Naruto and Mei turned to see the door practically caved in from a sudden weight placed on it, bursting open to find a disheveled and crying Tsunade. Naruto was unable to stop her when she grabbed onto his bulky frame, feeling slightly uncomfortable from the feeling. He put his own arms around Tsunade and gave a light hug back, patting her shoulder a bit. He didn't feel like being nice to her right now, but it had been 3 years, the least he could do was offer a hug. Mei stood off to the side, watching the awkward interaction with conflicted emotions running through her. Of course she was happy that Naruto and Tsunade reunited, but she was also afraid and a bit angry at the outcome of this talk. She didn't like how Tsunade had acted to her so far, and she was scared that Naruto might be forced back to Konoha, and she would not allow that. "Hi, Tsunade," Naruto said with a little tenderness in his voice, but it brought the older woman down not to hear the endearing nickname he had used 3 years ago. "Naruto, you little brat. Why did you leave?" Tsunade leveled a punch right towards Naruto, but found herself staring in shock from Naruto's hand effortlessly holding her own. Naruto did not look amused, he was not about to be punched for some stupid reason and not fight back. "Don't do that," Naruto ground out, slightly scaring the blonde in front of him. Mei remembered he was still angry over what Tsunade had done to her, and she moved to calm him, but was stopped by a hand from Naruto. "I can keep myself in check, Mayheim." Mei just nodded and backed away from the two. "Mayheim?" Tsunade looked between the two and wondered why he called her that with such endearment. Surely the engagement was nothing but a farce, a fake thing that the Mizukage had conjured up, right? Naruto just silently shook his head and walked over to Mei, moving an arm around her waist and slightly tugging her against him. Mei smiled and set a hand on his chest while she leaned into him, comforted by the warm embrace and by the fact that Tsunade looked like a fish out of water. "Mei is my fiancée and she is also my princess. I love her more than anything else in this world since she is my world to begin with. I hear that you don't believe what Mei has said to be true, but I'm telling you that it is." Tsunade just kept staring at the two in shock, not wanting to believe it. If what they say is true, then there is a chance that Naruto really doesn't want to come back. "But surely you liked Konoha better, right, Naruto? I mean, you only came here to get training on your bloodline, and then you were going to come back. I still have your necklace, I was going to give it back when you returned, you will return with us, right?" Tsunade was hoping and praying, but received none of her wishes when Naruto slowly shook his head and she became infuriated when Mei revealed a small smile. "What the hell are you smiling at, that you won? Surely Naruto isn't in his right mind with you around, all you will do is use him for your own gains, I can stop you right now." Tsunade went to attack Mei, but was stopped when Naruto appeared in front of her and gripped both of the Hokage's wrists tightly, no matter how hard she struggled. "Let go, you are not in your right mind, Naruto. She's tricked you, it has to be." Naruto's palm met Tsunade's cheek as he slapped her. If anyone was going mad, it was Tsunade. "Get a hold of yourself. First you even think about attacking the Mizukage who is my fiancé right in front of me, and now you tell me that it's her fault this happened. I made the choice to leave, I made the choice to come to Kiri, and I made the choice to stay. Now, leave Mei out of this and yell at me, because you sure as hell won't touch her again." Naruto seethed, angry that Tsunade was acting like a controlling mother. "Naruto." Mei wanted him to calm down and try and see things Tsunade's way as well, but was silenced by a loud growl from the busty Kage. "You shut up. He may be defending you now, but once he sees the others, he will surely be convinced to come back with his real family." Tsunade smirked and whistled, the doors opening, and all the Konoha ninja walked in. Everyone was happy to see Naruto again, even if he was angry at the moment. "Naruto. I see your flames of youth have not deteriorated by living in such a wet country as Kiri, it is good to see you, my friend." Naruto was able to crack a smile and hug the overzealous Lee, who had practically charged over to him first. "Good to see you, Lee, you're just like your sensei." Lee looked like he had just been told he was allowed to go on a date with Sakura, he was practically overflowing with happiness. "Yes. Thank you for the most youthful compliment, Naruto." Naruto turned to see Kakashi looking at him with a small smile, having noticed Mei protectively gripping Naruto's hand. "Naruto. Good to see you again." He motioned with his hand to Mei, who was looking at Kakashi with curiosity. I take it this is the love of your life, fiancé you told us about in Suna? Naruto blushed and nodded, gripping Mei's hand and feeling her squeeze back. Yes, my name is Mei Uzumaki, and I am engaged to the perfect man you see in front of you. Mei finished her introduction with a kiss to Naruto's cheek, who blushed further in embarrassment. Jiraiya silently stood away from the group, leaned up against a wall, observing everyone's reactions to Naruto. Sanada was smiling upon seeing Naruto so friendly with the other Konoha ninja. Sakura looked to be getting a bit jealous and moody at Mei and Naruto's clingy attitudes, and Kakashi was still as laid back as ever. I suppose I was wrong on my first assumption of the Mizukage, she isn't an old hag. Naruto sure did bag a good one there. Wonder if she has any sisters? Mizukage-sama. Mei turned to look at Sakura, who she had barely spoken to over the past few days of her being there. All the times they conversed, Sakura would keep conversation to a minimum and sometimes glare at Mei for no reason, frustrating and confusing the redhead. Yes? Naruto turned to look at Sakura now, she appeared to be gathering her strength. I want to know why you love Naruto. What do you have that other girls don't have, why did you choose him, and he chose you? Mei was surprised at her question, but quickly came to the conclusion that she was interested. I haven't the faintest idea why she is though, Naruto told me of her behavior towards him before his leave. She looked around to see everyone was interested in her answer before taking a deep breath and smiling. She looked at Naruto who was looking down at her from his position beside her, and she moved her hand to rest on his cheek. I love. Mei searched for the right word. Everything about Naruto. All his quirks, interests, flaws, secrets. She glared at Sanada for a second but quickly continued. Naruto has grown up to be quite the handsome young man and a powerful ninja, and I'm sure anyone could have seen that potential when he was younger. Why girls weren't throwing themselves at him is beyond me, but for that I am very thankful. Mei glared at Sakura this time, making the younger girl gulp. The best part is that Naruto reciprocates my love for him. He loves everything about me, even the things that I hate about myself, and he helps me be a better me. Love, it is a fickle feeling that is difficult to find, harder to keep, and priceless to own. That is why I love Naruto, I'm sure he can agree, right Naruto? She looked at him and smiled brightly when he smiled at her. That's right. I wouldn't ask for my life to turn out another way, I'm very happy with what has come. Sakura frowned after hearing him acknowledge the woman's speech, but quickly recovered with a small smile. I know I cannot have him, perhaps this is for the best. I understand, thank you Mizukage-sama. Mei just nodded, not really paying attention to anything other than Naruto. Sanada had progressively sunk deeper and deeper into anguish as the conversation went on. Sure, she was happy Naruto found happiness, but why did he find it with Mei? Why couldn't he have waited a little longer for Sakura, or even found some nice Konoha civilian girl? Besides, Mom encouraged me to go out and explore the world. She told me that she and my father would be proud, no matter where I lived or went. And with that adventure, I came here and found what I really wanted all along, a nice Uzumaki girl, just like Mom said. Mei blushed at that, feeling eyes on her again. Naruto, what about your family? What about Konoha? Sanada whispered, making Naruto frown at the thought of his precious people. While Konoha will always have a place in my heart, I have another family now, one that is just as important, that I will not let go of. At that, a large group of Kiri shinobi filed inside, including Ao and Chijuro. They fell into standing behind the entangled Uzumaki couple. This is my family. Naruto motioned with his free arm. The Kiri shinobi smiled and gathered around Naruto, clapping hands over his shoulders or Ao messing up his hair. Mei giggled and felt so happy inside to see Naruto finally having what he always wanted, a family and the support of a village. Kiri truly loved Naruto. The Konoha ninja felt very melancholy after this display of affection from Kiri. No longer could they fool themselves into thinking this a clever genjutsu. Naruto really did like it here and wanted to stay, that left their options close to none. But what about us? Sanada asked meekly, wondering where Konoha now stood in Naruto's heart. Naruto stopped smiling and looked down at the ground, trying to figure out just that same question. Well, I'm technically a missing nin, so I can't just go back to Konoha. Sanada's hope sprung back, was that all? Naruto, I can easily pardon you of that status, if you came back, it would be no problem. Naruto just sadly shook his head. I made no mention of coming back with you Sanada, I was merely stating why it would be dangerous for me to even touch soil from your country. Our country. Jiraiya seethed, and Naruto cast a glare at him. Your country, I no longer align myself with Konoha, I am a Kiri shinobi. I will not stand for this nonsense. You will be coming home now. Tsunade yelled out, her anger once again rising to the surface. Don't tell me what to do, Hokage. I'm not one of your ninja, and I sure as hell am not your child to be ordered around. Tsunade gasped at his outburst, causing all the Konoha ninja to flinch, other than Jiraiya. Tired of staying silent and seeing Tsunade take a beating, he came forward with the ultimatum. You know, if Tsunade comes home empty-handed, Konoha will be calling for blood. There will be a war if you continue this little vacation, Naruto. Naruto was seething, how dare he play off something like this as a vacation? First of all, you have no place in this discussion, Jiraiya. Second of all, would you really risk a war against Kiri, against me? Naruto quietly hissed the last part, shocking the Konoha ninja. Naruto would be willing to fight them. Would you be ready to kill Konoha ninja? Would you be able to do it after personally knowing each and every one of their faces? Jiraiya asked, thinking Naruto could only bluff. Naruto smirked, what a fool he was. You threaten my village, my friends, my Mizukage? Kirigakura will have my support in any war, especially if it is against Konoha. Besides. Naruto shrugged his shoulders and let loose a maniacal smirk. I could always just accidentally let Kyuubi take over my body inside Konoha, would you like that idea better? Jiraiya gasped as did Tsunade, he could talk with that beast. I think I have a better idea. Everyone's eyes moved to Kakashi, who had spoken up after the heated arguments started to get bad. Kakashi had observed the tense feelings between Naruto and the other Konoha ninja for long enough, it was obvious he was not coming back. Even so, Jiraiya and Tsunade had to have something to satisfy them. So, Kakashi thought up something that would appease everyone, and it was something that Naruto could easily do anyways. How about instead of a war, our two nations settle the problem with an official or unofficial duel between shinobi? Naruto could fight Jiraiya and that could settle things. If Naruto wins, he stays in Kiri and is allowed to visit Konoha whenever he wishes without any danger to him. Naruto liked the idea, already glaring at Jiraiya in a competitive manner. And if I fail? Naruto asked, but he already knew the answer. You must return with us to Konoha. Kakashi announced with a smile, while in reality he was sweating from the glares received from the Mizukage and the Kiri ninja. Don't accept, Naruto, I'm sure that we could kick this poor country's ass in a war, no point in bothering with such a silly idea. Ao announced, silently worried that Naruto could lose his battle. Yeah, Naruto, the 7 swordsmen are behind you in a war, you know that. Miro Ratoda, fellow swordsman of the mist, yelled out. He would gladly march to war with the young blonde, having garnered respect for the Jinchuuriki when he was in training to become a swordsman. Narukoi, it's your decision. Naruto was still smirking, as was Jiraiya. Both were confident in their abilities to beat the other. I'll do it. Everyone settled down a bit after that, although Kiri was a lot more tense after Naruto's agreement. Tsunade spoke up, angry over the deal. That is great and all, but I'm not satisfied. I want to fight Mei in a match as well, see if she is really worthy to call Naruto her future husband. Mei looked at Tsunade with a surprised face, Kiri and Konoha were also taken aback by the request. This bitch wants to see if I'm worthy, huh? Well then, I'll just have to give her a show. Alright, but it will be only taijutsu and none of your super strength. Tsunade smirked at that, she already fought like a brawler without her strength, this would be easy. Tomorrow it is then. I think everyone should get some rest for it, let's go home. Kakashi announced, but stayed behind to talk to Naruto. Naruto saw this and moved to Kakashi as everyone but Mei headed out too. Naruto, I'm confident in your abilities. Jiraiya may have confidence too, but I don't believe he can win this match against you. Naruto was surprised. Kakashi set the match up on purpose. Wait, you mean you think I'll win anyway? Kakashi just nodded. I told you in Suna, I support you in your choice as Gaara did. Tsunade may not be in the right state of mind to hear it, but it's past time that you chose your destiny, and you have chosen. If this is your place that you wish to be, then I will happily agree. Besides, I failed you as a sensei, and to help you with this is the least I can do. Kakashi looked down in shame, and Naruto frowned. Kakashi, is it true that Jiraiya no longer writes icha novels since I left? Kakashi looked up confused, as was Mei, but he nodded anyway. Yeah, he said that he could no longer sit around researching while you were off missing, or something like that. Why? Naruto smirked deviously, scaring his old teacher. In the match tomorrow, I think I can make him see the error of his ways. Hopefully you will be enjoying a new novel soon, Kakashi. Naruto mentioned before taking Mei's hand and walking out of the office, leaving a confused but somewhat hopeful copy ninja behind. I wonder what he meant by that? Kurigakure, General Training Grounds. Are you ready for this, Naruto? Jiraiya had stepped into the aforementioned ring and taunted the blonde. Naruto just nodded his head and looked at Ao, the self-designated referee. All right. The rules for this fight, keep it in the ring, everything else is allowed. Naruto and Jiraiya nodded and Ao stepped back with his arm raised high before lowering it. Jiraiya roared and charged Naruto, who stood with his hands in his trademark technique's hand sign. Shadow clone technique. At least 24 Naruto clones appeared, leaving Jiraiya standing in the middle of the ring wary of his next move. All the clones set up for another jutsu and Jiraiya was prepared for anything but the jutsu they called out next. Sonata harem technique. Everyone's eyes widened when out of the large batch of smoke came 25 sonatas in very skimpy or no clothing at all, leaving Jiraiya foaming at the mouth with blood gushing from his nose. Jiraiya-kun. The girls cooed, wagging fingers for him to come closer, to which he did with a speed thought impossible. Oh Sonata Himes, you have finally seen the error of your ways. I always knew you would call for me eventually, I'll have to thank the Gaki later. Jiraiya felt himself being pulled closer and closer until his face was buried under the clone's excessive cleavage, smothering him into a blissful unconsciousness. Ao watched on with wide eyes and a small blush before entering the ring and observing Jiraiya. Naruto's clones were long gone from the pervert. Naruto has knocked Jiraiya unconscious. Naruto is the winner. The large Kiri group erupted into cheers, Mei running across the field and kissing him for all she was worth. Oh Naruto Koi. That was wonderful. But Mei released a killer intent directed at Naruto, her eyes taking a hooded glare. Ao recognized that look, she had given it to him many times. But you will no longer use that technique, ever. Got it? Naruto just gulped and nodded, frightened at her reaction to his winning jutsu. Mei immediately brightened upon his nod and kissed his lips again before walking off to Naruto's side of the ring. Her match was next. Sonata meanwhile, too angry at Jiraiya and Naruto to remember the match, was slapping Jiraiya's unconscious face silly. Damn it Jiraiya. You wake up right now, so I don't feel as bad when I beat your ass. Mei sighed, already impatient over the blonde. Are you ready, Hokage-sama? Sonata looked up and saw Mei waiting for her in the ring, which she smiled to and entered it herself. Ao nervously walked up, fearful of either lady's strength. Okay, this match will consist of only taijutsu. Keep it clean, like back in my day when Kunoichi, he was interrupted from his rant by an irate Mei. Ao. Shut up and start the match before I kill you. Ao just backed away and made a cutting motion with his arm, signaling the start of the match. Alright bitch, let's go. Sonata announced, feeling very free now that she was in a ring with the Mizukage. She was so excited that she wasn't able to catch Mei's sucker punch, she took it right in the jaw and stumbled backward. Sonata wiped her lip of blood and smirked. What the hell was that, a bug bite? Mei growled and charged the blonde again, intent on ending the battle quickly. She generally detested taijutsu, she much preferred her ninjutsu over hand-to-hand combat any day. Sonata was able to counter her punch and went for an uppercut, one that was narrowly avoided by Mei. With her leg guards, Mei felt she had an advantage over kicking and sent a roundhouse straight for the older woman, only to have her leg caught and be thrown across the ring. Sonata smirked and went for the downed Mei, bringing the woman into a chokehold and inadvertently zipping her blue dress down a bit, revealing more cleavage than anyone should see other than Naruto. Kakashi uncomfortably adjusted his pants along with several Kiri ninja, their thoughts intertwined. Whoa, this is hot. Naruto was pissed, he quickly went through a few hand signs that left only himself and Ao in visibility of the arena with an earth wall in the way. He brought his hands up to his mouth and called out to the hurting red head, bringing her out of her trance. Come on Mayheim, show her what Uzumaki women can do. Mei smirked at that, quickly thinking of a way to distract Sonata. Seeing her disheveled gray jacket, Mei gripped it and revealed one of the blonde's nipples, making her gasp and loosen her hold while she tried to adjust her clothing. After the grip had been lost, Mei headbutted the back of her head into Sonata's face, causing her to scream in agony when her nose broke. Turning around, she quickly kneed the Hokage's stomach, winding her and pushing her body up in the air momentarily. With this newfound elevation she caused, Mei brought a bone-crushing elbow into Sonata's back, sending her sprawling to the ground. Mei dusted her hands off and readjusted her dress, slowly walking back to Naruto. Mei, look out. Mei's eyes widened when she felt a hand grip her leg and brought her down to the ground. Sanada was on top of her from the get-go. "Bitch." Mei cursed, feeling the weight of each impact and tear on her body, resolutely trying to fight back. Their clothing was the first casualty of the battle, their anger so high they barely noticed that Mei was now in her torn bodysuit and short skirt, while Sanada had lost her top long ago. "How do you like this?" Mei asked when she pinched a nipple and twisted quite harshly, smirking at the pain sound uttered from Sanada. To retaliate, the blonde quickly punched Mei in the face, the first real damage anyone had done to the other. Mei felt her cheek and hissed in pain, now realizing it was serious. All right, two can play at this game. For the next few minutes, all that could be heard were smacks of knuckles and knees against vulnerable flesh as the two released their emotions in the ring of pain. The two finally settled the battle with a final blow that had both knocked the other out, allowing Naruto to come to the field only after Ao announced a draw. "Mayhem," Naruto whispered as he cradled a hurt Mei, his Kiri Jonin vest already covering her revealed body. Her eyelids fluttered open for a moment, a small smile gracing her chapped lips. "Did I kick her ass, Narukoi?" Naruto smiled a little, gripping her bloodied hand. "As far as I'm concerned, you showed her just what an Uzumaki woman can really do. Just try not to do any of that to me, alright?" Mei giggled a bit, but hissed in pain, her ribs cracked from Sanada's onslaught. Naruto cringed and yelled at Ao, who was watching the two camps attend to their Kage. "Ao! Get us a damn medic, the Mizukage is hurt, you idiot." Ao was startled, but nodded and began to walk off to get a medical ninja when Sakura called out. "Wait. I can heal her." Naruto watched in amazement as Sakura walked up and began to heal the Mizukage's wounds, her bruises and scars disappearing. "Sakura, why are you doing this?" Sakura looked up at Naruto with a sad smile. "It is the least I can do, Naruto. I want to show support for your relationship, even though I wish to be with you. I can see you happy with her. I want to help you, Naruto, and if this is the only way I can do it, by healing wounds, then I'll do that." Naruto was shocked at her proclamation, but only smiled and nodded, allowing Sakura to smile too. "Thank you, Sakura." Kurigakure Gates, next day. "Are you sure you won't come with us, Naruto?" Rock Lee asked and smiled sadly when Naruto just shook his head. Konoha was prepared to leave, indeed empty-handed as the Kiri group saw them off. "Don't worry, I'll make sure to come and visit sometime. But like I said before, my place is here," Naruto said with a glance to Mei, who smiled brightly. "Good luck on your travels, Naruto, I hope to see you soon." Kakashi shook his old student's hand, a simple goodbye from a simple, laid-back man. "Yep, I'll probably need it." Next up was Jiraiya, who was still blushing from his memories of yesterday. "Naruto." Jiraiya was no good at saying goodbyes, he had planned victory speeches instead. "I'll be sure to send you the next issue of Icha Paradise." Mei smiled threateningly, making Naruto and Jiraiya flinch in fear. "And I'll be sure to burn it when it arrives, thank you, Toad Sage." Jiraiya just scratched the back of his head and walked away frowning at the thought of someone destroying his works of art like that. Sakura walked up to Naruto with a melancholy smile. "I'll see you later, Sakura, thank you again for what you did for Mei and me." Sakura just nodded and got one more hug from Naruto, one she enjoyed very much. "I hope to see you soon, Naruto-kun." Naruto inwardly cringed as Tsunade walked up, afraid of what she might say. "Naruto. Here it comes. I want 3 things promised to me before I go." She held up 3 fingers with a stern look set on her face. Naruto and Mei gulped. 3? Tsunade nodded. 1. I want you to visit monthly. 2. I want an invitation to the wedding. Naruto had nodded to the first and blushed at the second but nodded anyway, Mei not much better off. And 3. I want to see grandchildren before I die, got it? She directed the last wish to Mei, thinking she was probably the prude and reserved one in the relationship. Mei gulped. If only you knew, I actually was the one that attacked Naruto first. Deal. Naruto said, not seeing any real difficulty in meeting the demands, no matter how private they may be. Alright. Goodbye, Naruto. Tsunade said solemnly, wishing he was coming back instead of staying. She was shocked when Naruto wrapped his arms around her in a tight hug, too shocked to hug him back. Goodbye, Ba-chan. And with that, he kissed her cheek, leading her to cry from happiness. She had her little Naruto back, the hero had forgiven her after all. Kurigakure, Mizukage Suite, 1 week later. Are you ready for your next mission, Naruto? Mei asked rhetorically. Naruto had been quite bored around Kiri lately, and she wanted to reward him with some excitement. Yes, Mizukage-sama. Mei was about to tell him his next mission when a knock came to her door, making her sigh in frustration. I'm always interrupted, this better be important. Come in. Naruto turned around to see a haggard messenger with a piece of parchment and was shocked when it was handed to him and not Mei. What does it say, Naruto-koi? Naruto looked down at the message, his mouth slowly opening in shock from its contents. Deliver only to the blonde swordsman of the mist. Naruto, this is Mikaru, commander of the Kinkaku bounty squad. Tamura told me of you and your exploits upon his return from Wave, and I must say that I'm impressed. While Kumo and Kiri have had our differences, I would like to thank and assure you that you have my organization's support in the future. Now the real reason I have sent this message is a bit more serious. From our reports, the dreaded Akatsuki organization, who admittedly our country knows little to nothing about, has been seen moving around in Kumo. While we are not sure of what they are looking for, the Rikage has ordered my forces to keep an eye on them, and from what I have heard amongst rumors is that you have a problem with this organization. Whatever the reason, I wish for you to come to the port city of Nagara in Lightning Country immediately. I have received word that Akatsuki has frequented that area, and coincidentally, a Jinchuriki container of ours, Ugit Onai, also does. We are afraid that either Akatsuki will try something or the volatile container will instead. We feel that with your apparent expertise, we may be able to handle the situation better. I have Tamura there to help accommodate you upon arrival. He also has a large contingent of Kinkaku hunters with him. We have no idea what we could be facing with the possible enemies. I ask for your speedy arrival because if you do not act quickly, Tamura will have to intervene on his own. That could lead to any number of results, and I doubt the odds are good for my men. Please, hurry to Nagara and help us keep Akatsuki under control. Mikaru, Kinkaku Bounty Squad. Looks like that mission will have to wait Mayheim. I have another Jinchuriki to save. End of chapter 8.